Hiya, I'm Jasper, and welcome to your video review for Voyagers. It's a movie starring Colin Farrell, the kid who plays Cyclops in the X-Men Days of Future Past film series, as well as a couple of other people who I don't think of anything else that I would recognize. So, as always, I'm going to give you the good, the bad, and the furry. To start off with the furry, there isn't any. So, moving on. This is a movie that it's probably my fault. I only watched enough of the trailer to see that it was based in space and it has Colin Farrell. And I was like, I'm sold. So I didn't watch any more of the trailers because I wanted to go in there fresh. Let me just tell you that Colin Farrell's part is not nearly as large as it should be. So if you go in there expecting this to be a Colin Farrell movie, it is not. It is like a glorified cameo, in my opinion. I mean, it's a little bit longer than cameo, but it is not enough. He does not have enough screen time. So don't go in there expecting Colin Farrell all the time. Also, while this movie is set in space, and again, from the portion of the trailer that I watched, I was like, this movie has Colin Farrell, it is set in space, so it's got to have a real big budget. I don't think it did. I don't feel like it did. Because there was like maybe a couple of exterior shots. Sure, they were fine, but there was very minimal of them. Do they need too many more exterior shots? I guess not. Like, I didn't feel like they were necessarily missing exterior shots, but I wouldn't have minded if they had a few more. And part of my problem is that they had so many scenes just set in this one hallway. And it felt like they had 4 sets. It was like the cafeteria, this other room that they just reused a bunch of different times and maybe moved a couple things around, and then the hallway. And that's it. It felt very low budget, and I don't like that because of how I went in there. So maybe it's my expectations. So your expectations, expect a low budget film. The other thing is that this movie was... If any of you have ever heard of the Stanford experiment, where you had people that were like, they were experimenting, and they were like, here, you're going to be guards in a prison, and you're going to be prisoners in the prison, and then they had to stop it because the guards went up being assholes really quickly, and then they were just completely abusing the shit out of the prisoners. It was sort of like that, but turned up to 11 in a way that didn't make sense. Like, the inspiration and like every move that the bad guy did, like, I can kind of buy, I guess, but everyone else that followed him doesn't make any sense. I don't care what you say about the like reason to be like, oh, they're based on their how they're brought up and blah blah blah. No, these kids are supposed to be super freaking smart, like uber geniuses, and they've gotten all this math and science and blah 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 blah, and yet they just believe this. It felt like they were like, hey, you know that episode of Dark Angel where they talked about the anomalies? Well, let's do that, but instead of having like 8-year-olds that had no type of other experience there, let's have some like 18-year-olds or 22-year-olds or whatever they're supposed to be, and just make that a whole thing and turn it up to 11 in a stupid way. That's what this movie felt like. I did not enjoy it because every move that the good guy makes, it's like, are you dumb? Are you dense? This is your move? And the other people around them were just sheep in a way that it just didn't make sense. Like, maybe if they had lowered the number of people somehow in the beginning, and then it was just these, like, the good guy, the bad guy fighting with maybe a couple of other people, maybe, but all the other people that are just, like, going along with this, like I said, this feels like the Stanford experiment, where how would people go along with this? But in the Stanford experiment, it apparently happened. So, yeah. I don't know. It was a mashup of sci-fi with like trying to say something about what drives humanity and what our baser instincts are. Like, if we don't have outside stimuli, what do we really like? I'm sure that it was trying to say something. Like, it was trying to delve deep into the psyche of, and what is man, and what is human, what does it mean to be? But it did so poorly. It did so very poorly, and I'm not surprised that this movie left theaters before I was able to see it. So, I didn't enjoy this movie. I don't think you'll enjoy this movie. I wouldn't even say skip if you're a super fan. I'd say that this is a rare movie that I think was total shit. It reused sets too many times that looked the same, so it didn't have a budget. The music wasn't it wasn't distracting, I guess, but the just the acting and how things were shot, like they had some of the shooting style of the beginning of Lucy, but they kept it up throughout, but in a way that just wasn't terrible. But it just there's this movie that I'm done talking about this movie. It was total shit. You shouldn't watch it, and I'm annoyed that I watched it because I was looking forward to a Colin Farrell movie with a space movies level budget, and it was not. So total shit. Don't watch this movie. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye.